Fox News alert. Around 1,000 people, including Americans, have been stuck in Afghanistan for days, desperately awaiting clearance for their private charter flights to leave the country. But organizers say the Biden State Department is preventing those flights from taking off. And they are now accusing the administration of recklessly endangering American lives. This is Outnumbered. I'm Emily Campagno. Here today, host of Kennedy on Fox Business Kennedy, Fox Nation host Tommy Lahren, Fox News contributor and syndicated radio host Leslie Marshall, and in the virtual center seat today, David Avella, GOPAC chairman. Now, Americans behind these private evacuations tell Fox News that the State Department is the only reason their planes have not left Afghanistan. This is a satellite image here showing 6 planes just sitting on the tarmac, and there is confusion over what exactly is causing the holdup. One of the people involved in the evacuation effort says the U.S. is refusing to confirm if flights have been cleared for takeoff and is banning them from landing in nearby countries. They say, quote, "This is zero place to be negotiating with American lives. Those are our people standing on the tarmac, and all it takes is a phone call. If one life is lost as a result of this, the blood is on the White House's hands." A State Department spokesperson responding with this statement, quote, "We understand the concern that many people are feeling as they try to facilitate further charter and other passage out of Afghanistan. We do not have personnel on the ground. We do not have air assets in the country. We do not control the airspace, whether over Afghanistan or elsewhere in the region. Given these constraints, we also do not have a reliable means to confirm the basic details of charter flights, including who may be organizing them, the number of U.S. citizens and other priority groups on board, the accuracy of the rest of the manifest, and where they plan to land, among many other issues." And Leslie, the juxtaposition is so stark. As we were showing those images on the screen a moment ago, the video of our commander-in-chief being able to leave his tarmac, I believe that was on Marine One for his vacation, while there are 6 flights, 6 planes stranded downed on the tarmac of the Afghanistan airport there, and the White House spokesman maintains Americans simply don't want to leave. But these attempted charter flights really say otherwise.
There's so much here to unravel. Ms. LaCree is actually responsible for one of those charter flights. She has 34 passengers for that charter flight. She said no one is being held hostage, and we're getting conflicting information. One, because Reuters and other news outlets have not been able to substantiate and verify these claims. Two, we have 2 Republican congressmen. We have McCall saying that it's the Taliban holding them hostage. We have Walt say it's the State Department holding them hostage. And then what we're hearing, and if the State Department is holding them hostage, we're getting that information from the Taliban, who I think we'd all agree none of us would believe. We need to have the facts. The facts are approximately 100 Americans are in Afghanistan. Some of them do not want to leave. I've spoken to some family members who want to stay with their family members there, at least for the time being. We have no evidence that there is a hostage situation. Not only has the White House said that and the State Department said that. And with regard to a president going to their home, whether it was George W. Bush in Texas, Barack Obama visiting his family in Hawaii, Donald Trump playing golf, or Joe Biden in his home in Delaware, presidents really never stop working, even if they go to their home away from the White House home while they're president, whether it is 1 or 2 terms. I think we all know that. They have a staff with them. They are apprised of what is being done. The State Department continually repeats that they're doing everything that they can. There are private charter companies that are stating they're going to give the manifest to the State Department. State Department is saying we need those manifests. Obviously, they can't just give a green light for anyone to get on a plane. We certainly don't want any of that Taliban government getting on one of those charters.
This is a Fox News alert. Top military brass raising new terror concerns as a result of the Taliban seizing control of Afghanistan. Joint Chiefs of Staff, Chairman General Mark Milley predicting the possible return of al-Qaeda or ISIS as global terror threats. Watch.
Is the U.S. safer today since the U.S. has withdrawn from Afghanistan?
I think the short answer to your question is we don't know yet, but the conditions are very likely, in my opinion, that, and I've testified this and I've said it in public, that you could see a resurgence of terrorism coming out of that general region within 12, 24, 36 months.
This as U.S. intelligence agencies are reportedly concerned that terror groups could try to exploit the anniversary of 9/11 in their messaging to recruit new followers. Meantime, Republican lawmakers say President Biden's botched withdrawal made our enemies more dangerous. And Leslie, I don't trust General Milley's timeline when he says that it could be 12 to 36 months before there's a real terror threat that emerges from Afghanistan. You know, they said that we'd have maybe a year before the Taliban completely took over the country, and look what happened within a number of days. So what is the Biden administration to do now? Because not only do you have terror groups who are primed, ready, and armed, you also have a country, another one, that's on the brink of a civil war.
The Taliban has been the head of a terrorist organization. Even though they're still a terrorist organization, Kennedy, they're now the head of a nation. Very different to run a country than to run a terrorist organization. In Afghanistan, they could actually run out of food in weeks. To our last segment, they've had to bring people in from Qatar and other countries for air traffic control because they just don't have the capability. And then speaking about what was left behind, although they're more equipped prior to 9/11, I want to read the list from the military, because our greatest military was very smart before they left. 46 Afghan military aircraft were sent to Uzbekistan, 73 aircraft destroyed, 70 MRAP vehicles destroyed, 27 Humvees destroyed, C-130s, they smashed all of the equipment in so it couldn't be used. Aviators, they ripped out the guts, the electronics, and the list just goes on. So although the Taliban have more equipment than they did prior to 9/11, it's not the list that we see. As a matter of fact, Al Jazeera America had a video that showed them celebrating when we left, and that turned very quickly to disappointment, frustration, and anger when they found that what was left behind militarily was largely unusable. And in addition, some of the things that have been left behind, they don't know how to use.
Well,
They're not
they know
equipped
how to use
as our military is.
New York City police are working to identify a protester who poured gasoline on one of their marked vans. Demonstrators pushed barricades into officers who were standing guard at a Bronx precinct last week. Black Lives Matter protesters have been gathering there following the death of 24-year-old Mike Rosado, who died during a shootout with law enforcement. Police say a group was already throwing eggs and trash at the marked police van when one protester holding a red can doused the car with gasoline while officers were still inside. The van drove off before anything else could happen. While protesters attempt to harm cops, meanwhile, officers are trying to save lives. Body cam video shows an NYPD officer diving down into murky floodwater to try to get to a family of 3 that was trapped in a basement apartment when Ida hit last week. Sadly, first responders could not get to them in time. And Leslie, these guys, though, they show up. And that was the point of that second clip we showed, that when, regardless if their lives are in danger, they are heroes. They put on that uniform and they show up, even if they die trying, which we've seen horrible circumstances of as well. And so despite or on the side of all of this vilification happening of these men and women who wear the uniform, they still show up every day trying to save lives and in emergencies.
I have police officers in my family. I have great respect for the police. The majority of them are good and do save lives. That video that you showed. But we can't, just as you can't say, you know, all cops are bad when you have, you know, an individual who shoots an individual wrongly. We can't say all these shootings are bad or wrong. I would agree with you on that, Tommy. But we also can't say this is an entire organization. This is one individual who allegedly has done this. We have seen the body cam, but until there are charges brought forth, and certainly until they find the individual, horrific. I'm a pacifist. Horrific. I can't stand, I abhor, I detest violence toward another human being, whether they're wearing a uniform or not, of any kind. This is absolutely horrific, 1. 2, speaking of investigation and having all the facts come out, we have to look at, was this a good shooting or not? One side claims that the individual, the victim had his hands up. The other side, the claim that the police asked him to drop his weapon and he did not. Remember, if you have your hands up and you still have the weapon in your hand, it's still considering not having dropped your weapon. So we have a lot more information here, but never, ever, ever, ever should anyone, left or right, protesting, harm anyone else. And I think when you look at the polls, not I think, I know when you look at the polls, a majority of Americans actually support the police. That, by the way, goes within the African-American community as well. And we see that support certainly not just for what's happened here in New York and other places where I am, in Los Angeles, but also on January 6th. when they see the Capitol Police and the Metropolitan Police defending our democracy and our elected officials.
Rolling Stone has been forced to issue an update to their viral story about Oklahoma hospitals being overwhelmed by patients who overdosed on the drug ivermectin to fight COVID. This after the doctor they cited was contradicted by the hospitals he referenced. On Friday, the Liberal magazine published the claims made by Dr. Jason McElligott. He's quoted as saying, "The ERs are so backed up that even gunshot victims were having hard times getting to facilities where they can get definitive care and be treated." Now, the story originated at a local TV station, but was widely shared by media outlets and amplified by reporters, including MSNBC's Rachel Maddow, who shared it with her 10 million plus followers. The hospital put out a statement saying, quote, "Although Dr. Jason McElligott is not an employee of NHS Sequoia, he is affiliated with a medical staffing group that provides coverage for our emergency room." With that said, Dr. McElligott has not worked at our Sallisaw location in over 2 months. NHS Sequoia has not treated any patients due to complications related to taking ivermectin. This includes not treating any patients for ivermectin overdose. And Leslie, the issue is the magnitude, right? It's the amplification that occurs. So it goes from a local TV station and then spreads like wildfire to millions of followers and readers and viewers. And then the correction is probably amplified a fraction of such.
When I was a kid, we used to go to these sleepovers and play a game called telephone. And you'd whisper something in somebody's ear, and by the time it went all the way around, in my case, the girls, circle of girls, the message came out completely wrong. And that's what we have here amplified, but we're dealing with human lives. Rolling Stone was irresponsible in its journalism or lack of journalistic practices. They should have verified. Today, Reuters put out a story that I just mentioned earlier that it said it could not verify. You don't put it out if you don't verify it. We saw media outlets saying that Joe Biden didn't greet the caskets of our 13 fallen service members when there's video footage of him standing there along with the First Lady. I'm sorry, journalists across the board, left, right, online, radio, television, in print, they have got to verify. That's journalism 101. You don't put it out there unless you have verification.
Thank you, Emily. As President Biden tries to step into the role of consoler-in-chief following Hurricane Ida, critics accuse him of being weak and incompetent after he appeared to use a cheat sheet with names and photos of local officials, including the mayor of New Orleans, LaToya Cantrell, while surveying storm damage in Louisiana. It's not the first time he's needed a little help remembering details. You may recall his first formal press conference back in March, where the president had several cheat sheets highlighting key policy points, as well as the names of journalists. But Leslie, it's kind of sad. He's an older fella. He's a grandpa. And he needs a little bit of help. They're doing whatever they can to prop him up, like Weekend at Bernie's every day.
Well, then I guess you think I'm old and a grandmother, because when I read off all that military equipment, it's right here on my cheat sheet. I don't think that has to do with age. I have a great memory for faces, not so much names, not so much numbers, and I have no problem, quite frankly, with presidents, whether they're Democrat or Republican, having some notes. I would rather them get facts, figures, and names accurate. You know, look, if somebody doesn't have a cheat sheet and they make a mistake, they say they're in a city that they're not, which we've seen presidents do, both Democrat and Republican. They call somebody a different name or a different office than they hold. I'd rather them get it right. I have no problem with that. I think this is like the tan suit that Obama wore when he was president, and this is, to me, not an issue. There's a lot of information out there, and I don't think it has to do with age. If it does, then I guess I'm in trouble and older than I thought.